Hello and welcome to the United Stand. Nemanja Matic will sign for Manchester United this week, and this is new news. This is not just last night's news. This is now coming in from The Guardian, obviously ESPN, late last week. All the British press are pretty much on the same page that Nemanja Matic will sign for Manchester United. And I think the reality is going to have to bite here, that this is probably going to happen. I'm hoping against hope that it won't, personally. I know a lot of United fans are on the same page. Don't feel bad. Don't feel that you've got to climb back into your box because some of the moral lot are on Twitter telling you that you've got to just trust the manager regardless. And Matic has been part of a Premier League winning team for the last 2 years. Well, he hasn't actually. Two in 3 years. But I think it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. The problem is that it's not the Manchester United way. That would be my biggest issue here. He's not a Manchester United sort of player the way we've grown up. He is slow for a start. He is boring to watch for a second. And the third thing, I can't get a straight answer. There's a journalist I quite respect actually on Twitter. I think he's Norwegian based, and he's just short replies being an absolute plonker really, because all he's going on about is, oh, he's won the Premier League twice. People going on about his age. People going on about his price and quoting all sorts of stuff. All I've come back to him and said is, if he's so good, why are Chelsea signing him? And nothing. You don't get anything. Everyone's got an argument about why Matic is a great signing for Manchester United, but nobody can answer me the simple question: if he's so great, why do Chelsea want to sell him? You can't. There is no answer. I tell you what the answer is: Chelsea don't want him, and we're going to help them buy somebody better. Now, Bakayoko I don't actually rate, but I don't really want to spend 10 minutes talking about who's better, Bakayoko or Matic, because I don't want either of them at United. But the reality is we are going to £40 million as well. They paid 30 million for him 3 years ago when he was actually in his prime. We're going to give him another 10 million to buy somebody who basically got carried by Kante. Anybody who was at Old Trafford for the game in April, which I was actually at, I didn't even think he played. I had to have that confirmed to me last night. He was dominated by Fellaini. So what is our plan for next season then? Is it a Fellaini, Matic and Pogba midfield? It wouldn't surprise me. I'm just baffled by the signing, to be honest. On many levels, if it happens, again, I think a lot of you say Daley Blind could be centre defensive midfielder. What I would say is this: Daley Blind could do what Matic is going to do. Unfortunately, Daley Blind is about a foot too small because Mourinho is obsessed with height, as we've seen with Fellaini, and Matic is another 6'4" player. But again, look through the history of Manchester United. When have we ever had our starting 11 dominated by, giant midfielders? It's not something we do. We don't do that because what we want in our midfield and our attack are dynamic players who can move the ball quickly, who can get into the box. Manchester United for years and years and years, and I know it's Sir Alex Ferguson, but he was the manager for 3 decades, get the ball and the midfielders bomb into the box. I can't bomb into the box. I mean, that's not something in Matic or Fellaini's vocabulary, unfortunately. I'm going on here, and I've got Ross coming on as well. I do want to get his thoughts as well. But effectively, what we've done here is Mourinho's sort of looked in the market and seen how can I create a Michael Carrick and Fellaini love child in the market that's around at the moment. And it appears to me that he's leaning a little bit more towards Fellaini because Matic isn't as good as Carrick in his prime, and that's what we're looking to do. Just very, very, very disappointed by the news, and I think it's a clever move by United as well, because the backlash will be, I think, minimal at the moment, because I think people will say, oh, well, we're going to get Fabinho as well. I don't think we're getting Fabinho as well, and if we do get Fabinho, Matic is basically taking his spot anyway, because he isn't going to spend £40 million on Matic and then not play him as a centre defensive midfielder. What will happen is we'll end up, if we did sign Fabinho, he'll sit on the bench and be covered for Valencia at right back, and Matic will be the first choice centre defensive midfielder. And we'll be going through the same thing for the next 2 years that we've had with Fellaini for the last 3 years. Oh, Matic is playing again. Donkey Matic is playing again. And the football becomes secondary, because it's all... I just feel that Matic is a grind results out sort of signing again. It's not going back to what we want Manchester United to be, which is, as I say, dynamic, quick movement from the ball, from the midfield to the front, and then midfielders bombing on. You're not going to get that with Matic. You're going to get somebody who sits, and we're going to become very predictable again. But Ross, have you joined me now?
How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, very good, thank you. I mean, I don't know whether you've heard what I was on about there, but First of all, just give us your initial reaction to it. I mean, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, if we get Fabinho and Matic as well, it's fine." I don't think this is. I don't think we're getting Fabinho and Matic. I mean, Fabinho's 40 million, Matic is 40 million, so we're going to spend 80 million on two centre defensive midfielders. I think what Manchester United have done is maybe they've fed it out that we are interested in Fabinho to sort of quell the shitstorm, so to speak, because if it was just Matic, you get what a lot of people are sort of seeing through now, that people are just not happy about that signing. And I think that's very dangerous on the part of Manchester United and Mourinho. I do agree with people that you've got to back the manager and hope that the signing works out. But beyond that, I just think it's an utterly uninspiring signing that will have lots of United fans with reservations.
Yeah, there's reservations. It is. It's like you say, it's dull and it is completely uninspiring. But you mentioned it earlier that there is a few people out there, and I am one of them that's kind of in Jose we trust camp, because he got absolutely bang on last season. But I know we all liked last season signings, but he's got to have something. He knows Matic better than we all do, to be honest. And the one thing that stands out for me is why he's gone for him. It's just the amount of games that he actually plays per season, because he rarely gets injured. I mean, I think out of the last 3 seasons he's been at Chelsea, he's missed 10 games, which is phenomenal, really. So he's basically played 104 games out of a possible 114. So he's rarely injured. He's an absolute battler, but he is uninspiring. But I'm not going to judge it until he plays, to be honest, because it would not surprise me if he gets absolutely hammered all summer. Plays his first 5 games for United, puts in a shift, and the Old Trafford faithful will start turning towards him, maybe.
Although no, I don't for 1 minute doubt that won't happen. I think he will end up being an okay signing, but that I think it's always unfair, because it's like Fellaini. I mean, this signing to me feels like Fellaini all over again. When we made that signing, I just felt sick inside. I was like, what are we doing? And it was nothing. I never expected Fellaini to be atrocious. I mean, he pretty much is. But, when he has the odd good game and everyone jumps on the bandwagon and says, oh, you're Fellaini hater. Well, what do you expect? He's a professional footballer. Of course he's going to have okay games. But the fundamental problem with Fellaini for me was, I know what sort of footballer he is. He's slow, not particularly good on the ball, and best asset is hitting long balls towards him. And we've seen that creep in with United over the last few months of the season. When I look at Matic, he's slow. He's not bad on the ball. He actually can dribble with the ball at times, and he's got a good shot on him, but he's slow. That is my big issue with it, really, is that no matter, he will come in and he will do a good job. He may do a very good job. But what we won't counter and what we won't solve is this inability to dominate midfields and move the ball quickly with tenacious players. And he can't. You can't turn it to. And he will be 29 in August. People stop saying he's 28. He'll be 29 before we kick a ball in anger. He'll be 29. He's 29 effectively, because he's 29 on the 1st of August, I think. A 29-year-old midfielder is not suddenly going to find 2 yards of pace. He's not. I think it's the wrong signing. I look at Juventus about to sign Matuidi. I look at Fabinho's free. I look at AC Milan, who got Frank Kessie. I look at Kante and Wanyama at Premier League clubs, and I see this prototype midfielder that we need. And Fosu Mensah could be it, but I can't see him getting that opportunity. But for me, and I throw that back to you, Ross, and everybody else, well, what I will throw back to you is actually, because I can't get a straight answer for this, and it's unfair to throw it to you. If he's so bloody good, forget the stats about how many Premier League titles he's won. If he's so bloody good, why are Chelsea selling him?
I honestly think it's a massive mistake for Chelsea. I think we've all scouted Bakayoko because we thought we were signing him around January time. And from all the games I watched, sort of about 10, I think, I thought he was absolutely crap. I don't know what Chelsea think they're signing, but I think they're playing too much Football Manager, because I don't rate Bakayoko, and if you were to give me the choice of the two, I'd take Matic. And I think Chelsea's making a mistake by selling him, because I think it's easy to give Kante all the plaudits for last season, because yeah, he was great, but look, Matic disappeared in a few games, but what player doesn't? He did disappear against us when you were there, Mark. You're right, but he played like 35 games in a team that won the Premier League with absolute ease. I know they didn't have Champions League football, so they should have walked it anyway. But I just think that he's just one of them players that I think people underestimate. And Jose will know that more than any other manager, because I think, he signed him. I think he signed him twice. So I've just got a bit of faith in him. I think it's like you say, Mark, it's the easy signing. It's let's get someone in the Premier League that I know, because we know what level Matic is going to perform. There's no surprises. There's going to be no shocks, which, you always take that risk from signing someone from another league. But it is uninspiring, but I am calm. And I do think we'll sign someone else as well. I really do, in midfield.
I hope we do, but I there's many aspects to this deal that I don't like. And another thing I do not like is, why are we signing Chelsea players? I mean, we are Manchester United. My whole life, Manchester United should be... We might not be in that position, but we should be looking down on every club in the Premier League and going, unless it's your best player, we don't want anybody. What I don't like about this is we are going to Chelsea and sort of like going, I know you want to go and sign Bakayoko and you want to go and sign Sandro, another good player from Juventus, and you probably need a bit of money. So we'll give you 40 million for Matic because you don't want him anymore. And Chelsea go, thanks for that. Thanks, Manchester United, down below us. There you go. You have Matic. We'll take your money and we'll go like that. And I don't like that. I don't like that feeling at all. I don't like the feeling that we're basically helping Chelsea out, getting rid of a player they don't want anymore. You're right, Ross. I hope it is a mistake, but there's some good comments. Spoon Dangler says Conte wants a box-to-box midfielder. That's why he's getting rid of Matic. Well, even better. So we are just taking a one-dimensional midfielder who will sit slowly in our midfield. Matic wants to leave, says Fire Squad World. Crap, absolute nonsense that is. No way. No way do you want to leave Chelsea when you've just won the title and you're in the Champions League. That's not happened. He's surplus to requirements. Let's face facts. I don't think you're seeing what Matic is. A phenomenal centre defensive midfielder. You will change your mind, says Kevin Murphy. I won't change my mind, Kevin, and I wish people personally would stop with this nonsense about how many Premier League titles he's won and what a worldie and what... I've heard people calling him a beast, this, that and the other. Answer me the question, why Chelsea are selling him if he's so good? And nobody can. Unless, it's like Ross said, it's a mistake, but that's a hell of a leap of faith when the facts pretty much point to the fact that I think we can do a lot better. Kieran Byrne says, you said this morning you want to be positive, give them as a break. I was positive until about 11:30 when this broke out again. I can't lie to you. I can't change my opinion that I do not want to sign this player. And I hope to God that come Christmas we are 20 points clear. Matic has won 3 Players of the Month awards and everyone's going, well, all you moaners about Matic, you got it wrong. And I won't try and twist it any other way. I will say, I'm happy I'm wrong. That's what Mourinho gets paid the big money for. I hope I am wrong. I really do. But it feels like a Fellaini signing to me, and I wasn't wrong about that. Mikael Eklock says, why did Chelsea... I love this one. Now we're going down the road of people trying to relate it to Mata. Why did Chelsea sell Mata? Because Mata wanted to move, because he didn't want to sit on the bench. Chelsea didn't want to sell Mata. Ask Mourinho. He openly said he did not want to sell Mata. Manchester United came in with a ridiculous offer. This was 37 million, Ross, for Mata?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
37 million 3 years ago, which is probably equivalent of, what would you say in today's market? 60, 70?
70, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so they got massive amount of money for a player they wanted to keep, but who wasn't in his first team plans. He was a bench player. They didn't want to sell Mata. To be honest, whether they want to sell Matic or not, which they do, I'm sure they'd think about selling him, because 40 million. Does that concern you, Ross, 40 million?
Yeah, he's overpriced, massively overpriced. And I'd like to think that these rumours of fee are wrong. But it's looking like it isn't. That is frustrating. That's the one thing about this deal that I am quite pissed off about, because I think our business has looked quite good with Lindelof and some of the other rumoured prices for players like Fabinho, which... was about the same. Well, it was 50 million euros, so it's only about 5 million quid more in theory. So, but I know I keep saying it. I just think that we're so weak in midfield with numbers and players and a few injuries, and we're buggered. So I think that this is not the only signing we're going to make. It can't be. Absolutely can't be.
Santanas Rabbi says, we will dominate the midfield physically with Pogba, Matic and Fellaini. Great, with a new Stoke, or Wimbledon for anybody old enough. I tell you what is the advantage or the thing to put a smile on your face about dominating a midfield physically? Unless you're going to play long ball, because we've seen it with teams like Man City and Spurs. If you're big and you're not quick, the little players will just make you look stupid and they'll just pass and move and destroy you. So I don't like the fact that we'll be physically stronger than anybody else, because it's all about how quick you move. And Pogba's not particularly quick. He's quick when he gets going, but he's not particularly quick in small spaces. Sayan's right. They want to sign Bakayoko, so they're getting rid of Chelsea. Can see our window being Lindelof, Fabinho, Matic and Morata, says Urban Edzaf 2. I wouldn't be happy with that. I think we need some width, mate. Some people said they wouldn't give 50p for Matic. Look, you know what I would say is, don't start falling out with each other, because you're all United fans at the end of the day. But don't try and dictate to people what they should think. Look, I have to give you my opinion because I am the presenter of the United Stand, obviously, and I don't lie to you. But you don't have to agree with it, and a lot of you don't agree with it. A lot of you do, but don't fall out with each other, because at the end of the day, I don't want him to sign. But if he signs for Manchester United, what I would say is, I'll have to shut up and just get on with it. I don't agree with it, but I'll have to get on with it and hope that it works. But as Mark Curran says, oh my God, this is a comment that this is the comment that was another thing I've not mentioned that will probably resonate quite badly with some of those who want Matic. It's Mark Curran. He says, I'm a Chelsea fan and I'm so glad Manchester United are signing Matic. He's a boring player. Every game he played, we looked boring. When Czech started, we looked awesome. But with Matic, as it was, often we looked poor. Well, he swore. But, I mean, what do you think about that, Ross? And there's a lot of Chelsea fans saying exactly the same. They didn't like Matic last season. Fabregas was kept on the bench. When Fabregas came on, he would get an assist and everything like that. Kante was effectively doing the job of Matic anyway. They're more than happy to get rid of what they describe as a slow, boring player. I mean, that is a concern. I mean, that's not me. That's not the United fans who don't want him. That's Chelsea fans. I mean, how do you respond to that?
I have got a response for it. Is that Chelsea fans are absolutely clueless, and they didn't. That's a good one. What they're complaining about a player that played 35 games in, and they won the Premier League, for crying out loud. Yeah, they might have wanted to play Fabregas and pull up with the odd assist, but let's face it, Fabregas he's finished as a player in my eyes. I can't listen to Chelsea fans' opinion on anything, to be honest. I think they're a disgraceful fan base as well as being absolutely clueless. Look, it's not the inspiring signing.
Would you take Fabregas over Matic?
Nah, no way. Absolutely no way. I wouldn't. I don't like Fabregas as a person as well as a player. But look, I know, Matic. It's the age thing that does concern me a little bit, because you're paying 40 million for a player that you're realistically only going to get 3 good seasons out of at best. But so you're going to have to replace Matic again, sort of come next summer. It is a bit strange, but as you said, Mark, it's going to happen, and when it does, I will watch the pre-season tour, and I'll ultimately back him and hope that we get the match that for Chelsea under Jose Mourinho, not the one that sort of played last year, even though he didn't do too bad. Scored a worldie. He's an absolute beast.
Afsal Mohammed, another Chelsea fan, very happy with selling Matic, and in return we're going to get Sandro, the left back from Juventus, and Bakayoko. No worries, pal. Put the thanks in the post. I mean, we're providing most of the money for that by the looks of it. We're actually going to pay more for Matic than they're going to play for Bakayoko. I do agree with Ross, by the way, and I did say till February that Bakayoko looked the perfect player for United, but watching him from February to the end of the season, I really wasn't impressed. But I don't want to discuss whether he's any better than Matic, because it's not a discussion I want to have. A lot of people are saying, is the transfer window a concern? I think I've said before, I said it when I was happy that I thought we were going to sign Fabinho. The signing of the centre defensive midfielder, whether it's Matic or Fabinho, I think will dictate our summer. I think we will either be very, very excited if we get Fabinho, or if we get Matic, we'll be very concerned. It does make me feel a little bit sick in my mouth. I've got to be honest. I've got to be honest with you. I do not want this signing. He's just not quick enough. I wanted somebody to come into that position who was dynamic and quick, and I don't know. I mean, I've heard people say this, Ross, about Mourinho, that can he change his way? Is he a modern manager? Can he see the way the game's evolving? Or is he a manager that had his way of playing that was very dominant, and now he's sort of clinging on to that way of when he comes up against better teams, he'll park the bus and try and nick it. We wanted to see Mourinho sort of evolve, change the way he's been playing. make us a more modern team, make us move the ball quicker, sign a midfielder that is defensively very good but very quick and tenacious, breaks the ball up, feeds people. The team who came first and second last season had 2 players like that in Kante and Wanyama. If we don't sign that sort of player and we sort of... Matic, as good as he is, you're harking back to something that worked 3 years ago. Would Chelsea have won the title last year with Matic as the centre defensive midfielder? They might have done because they weren't in Europe, but it'd be a big liar to say that Kante wasn't a massive reason that they won it. I certainly wouldn't. I think if you spoke to any Chelsea fan and they said, if you had to lose one player from last season and still try to win the title, who would it be, Matic or Kante? You know they're going to say Kante. I think Kante is the sort of archetypal centre midfielder of the modern day, and Matic is probably the dying breed midfielder because he doesn't have the pace, but looks like we'll be going for that sort of midfielder.
Yeah, but I was trying to think about centre defensive midfielders in the Premier League, and obviously Schneiderlin's out of the question. Kante's never going to leave Chelsea. If you're going for Premier League midfielders that are defensive minded, Matic is the only one that shouts out to me as sign me. We're obviously not going to buy Tottenham players because Daniel Levy is impossible to negotiate with. So that's probably where it's come about. But yeah, do you know what? Leopard never changes his spots, Mark, and I think we all knew really deep down when we signed Mourinho what we were going to get, and we've got it. We got all the trophies that we wanted to win last season, apart from the FA Cup. Like you say, we were robbed out of. We got what we wanted, and we'll probably get what we want again. We'll probably sign Matic, play boring football, and win the Premier League. And we need to ask ourselves: is that what we want as United fans? At the minute, yes, it is, because I'm just sick of what we've had, which is Van Gaal and Moyes. It was atrocious. It didn't work. We're never going to get Fergie again. That was a one-off. So for the time being, I think it needs must. And if Jose wants to do that, I'll let him do it and I'll back him, because ultimately he's the one winning the trophies for us at the minute.
Yeah, I'm not really that interested in winning titles playing badly. I know that we did that last year. I felt we did that in the Europa League. I don't think we played very well in the whole tournament. We won the tournament to get in the Champions League. I think next year to win the title, just to grind our way to the title. I know United fans. We all know United fans, and understand where you're coming from. And of course, only an idiot would say, I'd rather come second and play great football than play rubbish and win the title. Of course, we'd love to win the title, but I'd throw it back, Ross, and say, look, we know United fans. We know what Old Trafford's like. You've been there a lot more than me last season. They won't just sit back and go, oh yeah, we're top of the league by 3 points, playing crap football, but we'll take it. They might think in their minds they will, and you don't necessarily have to go to games. Of course, you watch it at home. You might think in your mind that if we grind it out with boring football, we'll be happy, but we won't. That's not Manchester United fans. It's not Manchester United's way. We want the cake and we want to eat it. It's not about if you want a club that's just going to grind out results and win titles. Well, Chelsea is one, isn't it? Manchester United, you have to win and you have to do it the right way.
Yeah, I do agree with that, and it will only we'll only put up with it for so long. There was a little bit of animosity towards the end of last season because it did go completely tits up, and Europa League absolutely saved us, to be honest. But the only other thing I can think of about the Matic signing, which I'm probably clinging on clutching at straws here, but I keep trying to come up with reasons in my head as to why, and hopefully Matic, or a player like Matic, would be the absolute release of Pogba. I think we saw probably about a third of his ability last season, and it was enough because I thought he was fantastic. He's got so much more to give, and maybe Matic is that boring, uninspiring player that probably plays, to 50% of the ability of what we want to see in a midfielder, but releases Pogba because he's the player that's still going to be the absolute main man for us next season. And a lot of our Premier League hopes rely on Paul Pogba and him having the freedom to do what he needs to do, because we saw it when he played for England, against England, when he did have a free reign. He was just unbelievable. If we get that player, the sky's the limit.
I think there's a couple of aspects to the signing of Matic which is really disappointing as well, which I probably haven't said. One, even if we do sign Fabinho, it's massively disappointing because Matic will still be playing centre defensive midfielder. Even if we sign Fabinho, Matic will still play, and that will not allow us to do the midfield three that we were all hoping for, which was Fabinho, Herrera, Pogba, which I think is befitting of what Manchester United should all be about. So even if we do, even those fans out there who are sort of hoping that, well, if we get Matic, we'll still get Fabinho, just think it through for a minute, because even if we do get Fabinho, Matic isn't going to be playing in the reserves. He's going to be playing in the first team. So where do we get that midfield that we want, that dynamic midfield? If we sign Matic, it's curtains to it. Curtains to dynamic midfield. It's gone. And the second point is, I fear that if we get Matic, we won't even get Fabinho. So that is my concern. Maybe it's slightly negative or not. But I just read a few things on Twitter while Ross was talking there, and there's a really good one here. It says, it would be more exciting to have Fabinho, who on the surface looks a great fit for Manchester United. But this is Mourinho. Function overrides fun. And we hoped that wouldn't be the case. But he is what he is. He is what he is. I hoped he would change. But I still think we can win the title next year because he does it everywhere he goes. But I think you know what? I don't want to start planting that seed way too early, because it is too early, and I won't turn against him unless he bores us to death and we finish out the top four. And I think it's fair then that if we came fifth next year with unentertaining football, he's got a problem. But I back Mourinho. I think he's the right man for Manchester United. But I just think when you start making signings that are uninspiring and they divide fan opinion before they've even kicked a ball, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. I mean, Fellaini, in many ways, Ross, did for Moyes. It was his one signing. It was a panic buy. It divided opinions. Some people were like, oh, he did well at Everton. I think he'll be good for United. Some people like me were like, he's just not the right player. And, I know Fellaini's still here, but Moyes didn't last long. You make a bad signing that the fact that fans don't agree with. And I totally agree with those who say, well, it's not the fans who manage the team. Of course it isn't. But it's a dangerous and brave thing to do something like that. And it won't sit right with many United fans that we are effectively buying Chelsea's cast-offs. We're meant to be bringing the dynasty back to United. That's not how you do it. You don't buy inspiring players, and you don't buy cast-offs from your rivals.
Yeah, I think it's a different deal to David Moyes, though, because that transfer window was a horror. We needed about 6 or 7 players in, and he brought in, I think it was 2. I think it was Varela at the same time. I think he'd already signed. I mean, that was abysmal from David Moyes and Ed Woodward. Moyes can't take all the flack from that. But this is different. Mourinho's planned this, and he's doing it early. So he wants Matic for some reason. He's looked at his team. He's not an idiot. We're looking at a manager here that's won multiple Champions Leagues, league titles wherever he's gone. He's not an idiot. There's no way he will know that United fans are not going to like this, but he must also know that Matic is going to do enough next season to warrant us buying him. So I just can't help but just back Jose, given the experience, and I just can't see him making a decision like this lightly. He would have looked at it, and he's come out of it for a reason. I don't know yet, but as I said before, I think we'll all be kind of annoyed. I am annoyed a little bit. I'll just have to put that to one side for a minute, because I think come first, our first 6, 7, 8 games are quite easily. If we won all of them games and Matic started every game, this would all go quiet.
Yeah, it will. It will. I just fear in the bigger games against the better midfields we'll get overrun again. But there we go. Darren Hopkinson said you've had 46 dislikes. Look, mate, if I was bothered about if the United stand was bothered about dislikes on a video, we'd come on here and say Matic is a great signing. Get behind the manager. What a brilliant signing. He's won 2 Premier League trophies. He's so experienced. He's Premier League proven. Get behind the club, this, that and the other. When have we ever done that? We've always been honest. I don't care whether you like what I say or not. I believe in what I'm saying. I don't want Matic. I've got Ross on purposely because I know he's slightly different on that. And that's what it's all about in the United stand. So, look, I'm not going to come on here and pretend I won't do it. I'll tell you what I think. And I hope I am really wrong. But at this point, I think this deal is very uninspiring. I think Matic is on the decline. And I think at 29, he's 29 in August. Stop saying he's 28. He's 29. £40 million is laughable. and there'll be a lot of players bought who are a lot better than him for a lot less than that this summer. And again, the one thing we haven't mentioned, and it doesn't really bother me that much, is that we are going to be a laughingstock for this signing as well. We will. City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, they're all going to be laughing at us. And I just hope, as Ross said there, that Mourinho does have the last laugh and win the title. Andrew Ellis says, I don't care, I'm not a Mourinho fan, he's a joke of a fraud. Fortune says, hopefully we'll still get Fabinho. Zed Jamie, if we sign Matic, he has a few years left in him, allowing him to develop Timothy Fosu-Mensah. I don't see how he develops Timothy Fosu-Mensah, totally different sort of players. If you want to develop Fosu-Mensah, you get somebody like Fabinho or Matuidi, who are that sort of player. It is only newspaper talk, Mad Mick, but it is, I'll ask you that, Ross, actually. It is only paper talk, right? We spoke about this on Friday lunchtime. I can't remember where it was, Manchester Evening News, wasn't it? Last night when we were live, it was Mark Ogden in the ESPN. This morning, it's Jamie Jackson in The Guardian. It is building momentum. Do you think it's going to be just paper talk, Ross, or do you think there's something in it?
No, this is the story that just won't go away. I do think there was something in the Fabinho stuff because it come from Di Marzio, but this just won't go away. And I know it's come from the English press, and I don't think United would actually leak that much to English press. I think they've had enough of them, but there's Chelsea here as well, and it wouldn't surprise me if Chelsea are leaking the stuff as well as United, because they have to. The deal, you can see it in front of you. They're going to sign Bakayoko. They have to sell Matic. Man United look like they're going to sign him, so it's there. So yeah, I just think it's going to happen. Even though it hasn't come from good sources, it just won't go away.
Samuel Lockhurst will love it. Jerome Miller says, Mark, as much as I don't like him, if Mourinho does buy him, we just got to back the manager. Well, that's a fantastic comment. Look, once he signs for United, I'll continue to say I never wanted him, but I won't start causing problems for Manchester United. That's not what this is all about. Somebody said to me today, the minute fans start managing football teams, then that's the minute football's over. To which I responded, the minute football fans aren't allowed to have their opinion on something is the minute football's over, actually, and that's very true. You should never be concerned that your opinion could be construed as being negative if you believe it. We all watch Premier League football. We'll all have seen Matic play at least a handful of times last season. We all know what sort of player he is. If that's what you want to see in Manchester United, fine. Well done. If it isn't, well, why shouldn't you say it? Who cares what other fans think? I don't concentrate on us. I know there's only, says Bramish EU. Yep, exactly. I agree with that. And apparently Fabinho wants to play right back only, Mark, says Liam Cronin. Well, I don't want Fabinho then. I don't want Fabinho just to sign him as a right back. We've got Valencia. Fabinho is a player he's been linked to us for the last 3 years. 2 of those years was as a right back, which was okay because we needed a right back. We don't need a right back now. We've got Valencia. The reason I've been so pro signing Fabinho is because you look at what he's done as a centre defensive midfielder. That's where I want to sign him. If we're signing him as a right back, to be honest, I don't really want him. I don't know what you think about that, Ross.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And again, that's another thing that, it's all hearsay and it's all thoughts. But if Fabinho has come out with that and said, I only want to sign as a right back, Jose probably would pull the plug on it. And like you said, he'd probably be right. And then that's probably what's led us to Matic, because we probably had a list of 3. Matic and Fabinho would have been in there. I can't think of who the third one will be, but maybe we're just running out of options.
Good point. We've got a few super chats anyway. Chazaboy Davenport says Perisic deal is off. Yeah, well, I've purposely not commented on that. Let's see what happens the rest of today and rest of the week. It's coming towards the end of June, which is when Inter Milan have got to pay their financial fair play. Apparently they're going to offer him a big contract, but United will offer him a big contract. If he wants to come to United, he'll come to United, and I still think that deal will happen. Moses says if we get Fabinho, he might be his partner as a centre defensive midfielder and we'll pick up his slack. Well, that's concerning in itself, Moses. We're going to go back to playing 2 centre defensive midfielders. Well, Van Gaal got a hell of a lot of stick for that. We'd all be very hypocritical if we suddenly said, oh yeah, we're happy with Matic and Fabinho. We can't go back to 2 centre defensive midfielders. That would be disgraceful. And Devi Sawney says Matic is the closest player to Carrick in the Premier League. Yeah, Carrick at the moment, declining and slow. I've got a right mood on with this. Look, you know what? I don't want to sign Matic, but if you do want to sign him, that's perfectly fine. And when we do sign him, I will just have to get on with it, because that's what happens. Could continue all day talking about this, which I don't intend to do it. We're live tonight at 8:30. It's the Skype show tonight. I'm sure there's plenty I've said and Ross has said and that is happening that you really want to get off your chest. I know some of you are very frustrated in the live comments. I can see that. But it's about opinion, folks. Stop getting abusive. Stop calling people names just because you don't agree with their opinion. It's called democracy. Come on Skype Goldbridge tonight and have your say. You don't have to agree with what I say. You don't have to agree with what Ross says. You don't have to agree with what people on the live comments are saying. If you've got your opinion, stand by it. That's what we've always said. But I'll give you mine, Ross will give you his, and people on the live comments will get theirs. Don't be abusive. Don't fall out. Just stick by your opinion. Tonight at 8:30, you can have your say. And I'm sure at some week, I tell you what, it's going to be funny, Ross, because I always react to these signings. And the United stand hadn't actually started when we signed Fellaini, because we weren't around for the Moyes season. So every signing reaction I've done, I've been really positive about. It's going to be interesting when we sign Matic. Do you want to do it?
Yeah, well, we can both do it if you want, because we both got kind of different opinions. But as you said, this is the first signing I've seen, like, from live comments on the United stand. It is pretty much 50-50 split. If anything, it's split more towards to not signing. But as you said, no need to fight, no need to dislike the video.
Yeah, I'd agree. Shaz Watts just mentioned Federico Bernardeschi from Fiorentina. If the Perisic deal fell through, I'd prefer him anyway. But again, I think what Mourinho's trying to do is bring in some experience, some players between 20 and 30. And I think that's exactly why we probably are going for Matic and Perisic. There are better, younger players out there. But then you've got a squad that's just full of players under 25. And let's not forget, Zlatan's gone. Carrick's on the decline. Rooney probably going to go. We are lacking experience, but do you need it? Do you need that experience? I suppose that's a debate for another day. But yeah, we're live tonight at 8:30. Get on and have your say. I'm utterly uninspired by it. Nookman says, I hope he fails the medical. Is there anything we can do about that? But I am uninspired by it. I don't want him. But once he signs, he's a United player, isn't he? He's got to be given that opportunity. And I do back Mourinho, but he will make mistakes. And we all do. Clara Olsen's feeling alone. Oh, God, she's back. Right. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Drop a like on the video. We've got loads of dislikes, so let's try and get some likes on it. I mean, if only four. Even if you're only liking it because we actually do dare to speak about things that many people don't want to talk about. I think we should be commended for that as a channel, and you should lot as well, for actually having an opinion. Being a petulant little moany brat and disliking it because people don't like your opinion. What's that all about? Football's about opinion. That's why we started the United stand. Just stand by your opinion. It's the way it is. Thanks for watching, and thanks for coming on, Ross. Give us a shout out of your Twitter.
Cheers, Marks. Has a 90. Cheers, pal.
Cheers, pal. Thanks, everybody. Back at 8:30, Skype Goldbridge, unless Matic signs, in which case we won't be back anyway. Thanks. Speak to you all later.